that sound. It's not just a metronome. It's the clock. Every tick is a kid deciding whether school is for them or not. And every time we cut the arts, we make that decision a little easier in the wrong direction. Today, I'm talking to district leaders, superintendents, board members, CFOs, the people who carry the heaviest binders in the room. And I hope you find this. I hope you come this way. And those of you listening, I hope you send this on to them so that they do hear it. What I want to talk about today is what really gets expensive when we cut music, theater, and visual art, and what we gain when we protect them. Welcome to the Soundstage EDU podcast. Usually, I'm talking to directors, students, and parents. Today, I'm talking straight to administration. I'm talking to you folks who are in charge. The boards, the cabinets, the people in suits, the people with briefcases, council. And I know if for whatever reason you went back and listened to other episodes before you came back to this one, you heard me rail on you guys a few times. And I'm not apologizing for that. I understand that there might be some misunderstanding there, but I believe in my heart that a lot of that misunderstanding is not really misunderstanding, but it's intentional ignoring of the facts. The writing's on the wall. Proof is in the pudding. The evidence is right in front of you. You just don't want to see it because you don't understand what it is we do here in this sector of the educational world. And that's fine. That's why we're having this conversation today. I'll bring the data, a few stories I will hit you in your chest, and some clear next steps that you can take before your next budget vote, or your next meeting, or whatever it might look like for your organization, your school board, your district, your state, whatever the case may be. You see, I don't care where you sit on that cabinet or that board. I'm talking to you. If you have any kind of measurable influence, and just being there, part of it, you have measurable influence, I want you to hear this. I'm not going to shy away and say nice things about you that aren't true. I'm also not going to say mean things about you that aren't true. I'm also not going to cover up the fact that a primary reason that I left education was because of the administration, because they did not care, they did not listen, they didn't want to bend, they didn't want to understand. And it didn't take long for me to realize that I was not valued, that I was not wanted, and guess what? I moved on. And that's what happens to a lot of teachers, not just in the arts, but across the board. When they're not heard, when they're not seen, when they're not understood, they move. It's not like you guys pay us enough money to stick around long term. And we all know, none of us get into this for the money. We get into this because it's a calling. It's in our heart. Because it may have changed us. And that's why we're here. It's why I came back when my kids got into school. I'm a dad. And I mean, yeah, there's going to be dad jokes here, one or two, I promise. But they'll be fine-tuned, not blasted. I'll try to behave. And also, on another note, I'm sure at this point I've run off most of the kids from this particular episode. I've run off the students because this is boring stuff. This is grown-up talk. It's not fun. And if you choose to stay and listen, you choose to stay and listen and know that in this situation, I will be a little more candid. I don't know. Is that the right word? I'll be a little more me. How about that? A little more unhinged because that's how I really am in real life. My filter won't be as strong. I'll try to maintain my professionalism, but listen, when I start getting upset or I start getting passionate about something, you know what? Sometimes colorful words come out, and that's what happens as adults. And I need you as a grown-ups to understand that I'm not being unprofessional. I'm almost 50 years old. I'm not some stupid snot-nosed kid with a freaking microphone and a laptop who decided one day to make a podcast. I'm a dad. I'm a parent of students in school. Students who went from private school to now public school, and I have a vested interest in their upbringing. I've entrusted you guys to educate my child, much like many other parents in my community have entrusted you to educate their children. So I could sit here and talk about the whole scope of education, but that won't matter. We're going to just talk about the arts, something I feel like is constantly under threat. The Every Student Succeeds Act, the ESSA, literally names music and the arts as part of a well-rounded education. That's not fluff language, guys. It's federal recognition that arts are core to the mission of public schools, and Title IV-A funds can and should support them. That comes directly from the U.S. Department of Education. Most of the state I'm going to give you, I'll put citations in the description and show notes, so you know I'm not bullshitting you. We're not just talking vibes. We're talking measurable changes to academic outcomes, attendance, campus climate, and long-term workforce skills. I'm going to walk you through the research, then give you a short list of actions you can use with your cabinet, your board, and your community. Let's start with one of the strongest kinds of evidence we have in K through 12 research, a randomized controlled trial. In Houston, that's Texas, in case you were wondering, 10,548 students across 42 schools were randomly assigned more arts learning through partnerships with local cultural organizations. What were the results? Fewer disciplinary infractions, higher writing achievement, greater school engagement, and increases in empathy and compassion. The design lets researchers say the arts exposure caused those changes, not just correlated with them. And that whole research study can be found in the Kinder Institute and National Endowment for the Arts. Zooming out, the NEAs, Arts and Achievement at Risk Youth, followed students over time and found that teens deeply engaged in the arts were more likely to graduate, attend college, and volunteer. And they were less likely to have disciplinary problems than similar peers with low arts involvement. Correlational? Yeah, but it's big. Careful, multi-data set work that reinforces the Houston experiment. I know that correlation isn't always fact, or causation isn't always correlation. I get that. But there's lots and lots of examples like this, and they directly relate to the trial that was done in Houston. On college readiness markers, analysis of College Board data consistently shows students with 4 years of arts courses score, on average, about 90 to 100 points higher on the SAT than students with minimal arts coursework. That's not saying arts cause SAT points. It's saying arts participation and college prep markers move in the same direction across very large populations. That's huge. Attendance matters? Absolutely. Newer work examining arts expansion finds increases in average daily attendance and lower odds of chronic absenteeism when schools add meaningful arts opportunities right in the wheelhouse of your accountability dashboards. And I see this as a parent, as a parent who has kids in the arts. I have a kid who can't freaking stand school. She's like, oh, I don't want to get up and go to school. But because of band, because of theater, she's excited to go because of the friends and the relationships that she has within those programs. And not just with other kids, but with the adults that run those programs. If kids are choosing between first period algebra and a school that also lets them make, play, act, and design, shocker, they'll show up more. It's almost like humans like to create. Duh. Come on, guys. Don't act like the arts are boring or useless. You were there too. You know. Why the blinders now? Numbers move budgets. Stories, they move hearts. And sometimes bond votes. So here are a few you can share with your board, your booster council, or your local paper. In Nashville, Johnny Croft leads the Cane Ridge High School band program. He's been recognized as a CMA Foundation Music Teacher of Excellence. I believe most of you know what the CMA is. If not, look it up. And if you listen to him talk shop, you hear the same theme. Build culture, then build chops. He calls this work a ministry, and the city has noticed. Cane Ridge students were even featured at the CMA Fest. That kind of visibility doesn't just help a band, it shifts an entire school's identity. If you go back and listen to some of the episodes in this podcast, you'll hear me talking extensively about building culture before chops. I didn't even know that until I started doing the research for this particular episode. And it let me know that I was on the right track. So when a band director becomes a community leader, the program stops being an elective and starts being a reason why kids stay. So let's move on to another story. At the age of 16, a New Hampshire singer-songwriter, Emma Getto, was crushed by cyberbullying. She wrote and released a song called The Death of a Taylor Swift Wannabe, putting her pain directly into music, something the arts are well known for. Emotions, deep feelings, evoking those feelings in others, pulling your audience to your cause. She says plainly that music saved her life. Her video has been used to start real conversations about teen suicide and digital hate. It's one kid, one DAW, one song, and a choice to live. You can't spreadsheet the value of a student deciding to stay. Like I said, I'm a dad. I have a kid. And this hits me hard. Because I was sitting in this office, in this chair one day, when my then preteen daughter walks into the room. She never comes in here after school. She's a teenager. She doesn't care. And she knows dad's at work. So she just leaves me be. And I love her for that. But she comes in here and she dances at my door. And she goes, "Hi, Dad." I'll never forget the sound of her voice, because I knew in that moment that something had happened. Something that was weighing hard on her chest that she couldn't wait to get off, but didn't know how to do it. Didn't even want to tell me, because she knows that I am not the most empathetic person in the world. And that I have two modes. Either I don't care or I turn into a frickin' monster. And I think she sensed what would happen when she told me this story. But I persisted. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" "Oh, nothing." "How was your day?" "It was okay, I guess." And I asked again, what's wrong? What's up? And she breathes heavy. Her voice trembled. And she goes, I don't think I have my best friend anymore, Dad. And I disengaged from my monitors. I have 5 monitors in here. It's ridiculous. And I turned around and I looked at her directly in the eye and I said, what do you mean? And she says, well, she was mean to me today. Like, okay. I mean, I'm no stranger to bullies. Kids were mean to me. I was bullied. And in that moment, I knew I'll be able to help her get through this. We're going to talk about this. I'm like, okay. Tell me what happened, dude. What's going on? And she said something to me that I never, ever actually thought I would hear come out of my kid's mouth. I mean, I thought this was some bullshit that only happened on sensationalized stories on the internet or on the news or in movies and TV shows. And she says, my best friend made a video about me talking about how horrible of a person I am and how she doesn't like me, making fun of me, essentially bullying. And she posted it on YouTube, on her YouTube channel. And this is where the dad comes out in me. I looked at my, at the time, 12-year-old and I said, bitch did what? Some little girl made a video and posted it for all the freaking world to see? And she found out about it? They don't even go to the same freaking school anymore. And this happened. Man, I was livid and I was terrified because I know what those moments could do to children at this age. And I had to keep a watchful eye. Because all it takes is one person to say one thing to destroy someone's life and to destroy someone's psyche and ego and make them not want to be here anymore. The death of a Taylor Swift wannabe, the music saved my life. I'm sorry. But the kids need the arts. They help them pour out their emotions. They help them release the darkness that's within. They give them value. They give them purpose. You can't take that from them. You can't pencil in the value of a student deciding to stay. You can't. So moving on. In Gamble, Alaska, an art therapy project asked UPIC teens to create 2 masks. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. UPIC. One for grief, one for joy. 2 masks. The exercise opened conversations about suicide that had not been happening and became part of a community strategy to keep kids alive. It's paint, paper, tradition, and the door that talk needed. Do you guys not see this? Those of you trying to cut arts from the schools, do you not see what this is doing? It's opening up conversations that they wouldn't otherwise have. Conversations that are important, that need to be had. Because the arts are a bridge. They're a bridge. So let's get a little deeper. On Rikers Island. Y'all know that one? It's on a TV show, the Dick Wolf Show. I believe, well, it's also on Blue Bloods. Law and Order, those shows. Rikers. It's a jail in New York. The nonprofit drama club runs improv with incarcerated youth. Staff report fewer violent incidents and major gains in expression and confidence on drama club days. It's not magic. It's practice. The same creative practices we cut from schools are stabilizing some of the toughest rooms in the country. Imagine them fully funded in 7th grade ELA. Think about it. I don't even remember the movie. And Gangster's Paradise, I think, with Michelle Pfeiffer. I feel like there's a correlation there, but I can't remember what it is. So I'm just going to let it go because I didn't research it and it doesn't fit into this. I want this to be as factual as possible. And it's a movie. So let's talk beyond K through 12. Employers keep shouting the same thing. Creative thinking is a top-tier skill for the next 5 years, right alongside analytical thinking and AI literacy. According to the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs, we don't produce creative thinkers by accident. We produce them by letting students create. And arts aren't just for, they're not just nice for kids. They're a serious economic engine. The most recent Arts and Cultural Production Satellite account shows arts and culture contributed, get this, about $1.2 trillion, 4.2% of the U.S. GDP in 2023. Growing faster than the economy overall. If your district feeds this pipeline, you're doing workforce development, not just funding the pep band. If you like balanced budgets, you should love a sector that prints $1.2 trillion. It's a lot of freaking clarinets. Whole bunch of marimbas. Oh gosh, so what happens when the arts aren't there? Here's the opportunity cost administrators feel in their gut. Discipline. The Houston RCT shows adding arts reduced the share of students disciplined. Fewer referrals mean saved staff time, fewer lost instruction days, and a calmer campus. That means your productivity goes up, your learning goes up, your scores go up. Your staff calms down, they feel relaxed, they perform better. The study found higher writing performance. NEA's longitudinal work links deep arts involvement with higher graduation and college attendance. Schools that expand arts see improved ADA and lower chronic absenteeism. And ADA is revenue. Again, all these statistics can be found. I'll post all the research that I did on this. But if you pull those threads out of a school and everything gets harder and more expensive, we save $1 on a violin, then spend $2 chasing attendance, remediation, and climate. So I promised you an action list that you can take into a cabinet meeting, and here it is. Inventory access by campus. Publish internally which schools have sequential pathways in music, theater, and visual arts, and which don't. Equity lives in schedules. Number 2, use the federal flexibility you already have. ESSA's Title IV explicitly supports well-rounded education, including music and the arts. Map your needs and document how arts deliver the outcomes your plan already targets. Number 3, protect time, not just dollars. Budget for sections, not just programs. If kids can't take the course because it's stacked against Algebra 2, you don't have a program. Stop the remedial pullouts. If you pull struggling readers out of band to catch them up, you may be pulling them out of the thing that keeps them engaged enough to pass ELA in the first place. ESSA gives you room to design smarter supports, so do it. Leverage community partners, museums, theaters, symphonies, creative nonprofits, people like me. Formalize residencies and dual credit alignments. I mean, the Houston results, they came through partnerships. Do what works. Leverage your community. Just because it's a small town doesn't matter. And finally, report ROI annually. Set a baseline this year for discipline, ADA, graduation, and writing proficiency. After expansions or cuts, publish the deltas. Make decisions in daylight. If you want a template for that internal dashboard, ping me. I'll send a one-pager your CFO will actually smile at. I've been researching this a long time. This has been on my heart since day one. So, on board night, you're going to get questions. You're going to hear questions and hear some answers. See, these are the ones I bet you'll hear. We love arts, but we need to focus on core academics. But here's your answer. The arts are multipliers on core academics. We have credible evidence of improved writing, engagement, and discipline when arts are added. That's how you raise ELA and math and keep your teachers. Here's another question. Isn't this just for college-bound kids? No. The arts build creative problem solving, a top employer demand. Whether students go to college, trades, or straight to work, we just did an episode on me saying college is not the only path to success. And then the big one. Well, we can't afford it. You're already paying. You're paying in absenteeism, discipline, and dropout risk. Also, Title IV-A can offset startup costs, and partnerships extend your reach. You can afford it. You just don't want to. You don't want to look at the facts. You don't want to look at the numbers. Pennywise, clarinet foolish is still foolish. That was mean. I'm sorry if I just offended a board member who played the clarinet. But you're already paying the price. Just shift what you're paying it with. So why am I doing this? I've been the happy mentor, well, maybe not happy, but I haven't been like this. Almost breaking on a podcast, and I swear I'm not going to edit that. That's going to live forever with this. Rounding almost 30 minutes at this point. But this is personal to me. I've spent years in rehearsal rooms and backstage hallways watching kids who were drifting find their people. I watched these kids come alive. I've seen the look of a young trumpet player. I've seen the look a young trumpet player gives the world when they finally lock in with a section. I've seen a theater kid walk a friend through a panic attack. I'm talking about my home kid here. Because the show must go on, and so must you. Even one life pulled back from the edge like Emma's makes the case. We don't always get to know which life it will be. We only choose whether to make the place where it can happen. And yes, this is personal to me, not just because I have a kid in the arts, not just because I saw my introverted kid who's still introverted, but I've seen her blossom in the musical theater. I've seen her blossom in band. I've seen her blossom in the arts. It provided a level of nuance and empathy in her life that she didn't have prior to it. Arts don't just decorate schools, they stabilize them, they humanize them, they make your other goals possible. So administrators, the baton is in your hand. Audit your access. Use the funds you're allowed to use. Protect time. Partner, measure, repeat. If this episode helped, send it to your board, your finance committee, and the folks who signed the purchase orders. Our kids, whether you have kids in the schools or not, or you're just if you're just a political puppet sitting on the board, and you don't have kids, you need to understand our kids, my kid, gets one shot at a K through 12 education. Let's make sure it includes learning how to make something beautiful and how to become someone better. I'm sorry for being so hard on you guys. I just felt as a dad that sometimes I have no choice. Sometimes I'm hard on my kids. I'm not saying your kids. I am older than some of you. But I'm going to be hard on you. And I will happily have this conversation with you face to face. I'm not afraid of that. But again, my name is Mike. This is Soundstage EDU. And thank you for listening. Thank you for making it this far. Because together, from me to the students, to mentors, to directors, to administration, we can and we must raise the bar together.